everyone, welcome to the Voice of Charon Healing Podcast. I am Almighty Servant Charon, here to let you know you are power, you are light, you are loved.
You guys, I'm going to speak to you quickly about humbling yourself for God and calling for judgment but not judging, okay? So I'm going to tell you a story about this guy that I saw in Starbucks one day. And right now, we should be well into 2025, like the first or second month. I record these in advance. But at this current moment, it is November, the second week of November that I'm recording this. And it was about a week ago where this experience happened. So I was in Starbucks. Actually, I think it was Red Cup Day. And I was working on my laptop in Starbucks, and this so-called white guy comes in, older, elderly, and I could feel him bouncing around. So he did his order and all that. I wasn't looking at that, but I saw the point. You know, when you order from Starbucks and then you go and you wait at the counter where they hand it to you, there's always a space on the other side where you wait for your drink. So he was over there sort of, and then he bounced around and he was getting out of the way. So he came over towards where I was sitting, okay? And I felt this very beautiful, happy, joyful energy, okay? I didn't see him first. I felt him first. So I was on my computer. I was probably editing episodes now as I think about it for my podcast. And as I was editing episodes, I just felt this bright, vibrant, you know, like childlike energy, just bouncing and happy and whatever. And he was literally bouncing with each step, like you know. And I was like, oh my God, how cute. And I wanted to say something like, gosh, so cute, your energy, you're so happy, you know, I'm so happy, you're so happy, or whatever. And when I looked up, I saw him and I was like, oh, you know what, I don't want to interrupt his happiness, you know. Sometimes we don't have to say something, you know. Sometimes if we see somebody in such a positive vibe, we should just let them be in that positive vibe. Does that make sense? Just to say something could interrupt their flow. Let them stay in that beautiful positive vibe with themselves as they're bouncing. Let them stay in it, right? So I didn't say anything, and then I just smiled and giggled in my heart, and I was like, oh, he's so happy, I'm so happy, he's so happy, right? Okay. So he was a tall, so-called white man, older, but still had great hair. Okay. So I'm sitting there editing my thing, not thinking anything about it, and then the guy comes and actually literally sits next to me at the table next to me, okay? And then I looked up again and I was smiling inside and I wanted to say something. But then I saw him smile. And when I looked at him, I saw this chain that he had on. And it was like a sort of Catholic-like something. But what I saw when I actually looked at him, when I saw him smile, is I had the visions of the little boys getting hard in the Catholic Church, okay? And I was like, ew. So then here I am with my judgment, okay? No one's perfect. I have to balance myself as well. So here I am with this feeling and these thoughts of this guy R-ing. Like, you probably just did a ritual last night, and that's why you're so happy, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like, those are the kind of thoughts that were kind of swirling through my head. I looked, and then I was like, you know, I had my little internal unspoken, not even all thought out to myself. I had this inside, like, you know what I mean? I was like, I'm not saying anything to him, right? That's me putting myself into it. I am a messenger, but I put myself into it. I'm not saying anything to him, right? So then I'm sitting there and then I'm editing my podcast and then he literally starts dancing because the song came on and I was like laughing again a little bit. And then I realized that his energy had changed somewhat. So he was there and he was still, you know, kind of happy. He was eating his snack and his drink. And I was like, I'm still not going to say anything to him. But then I realized that he seemed a little sad. Does that make sense? He had the little happy thing going on, but I tapped into a little sadness. And I was like, what did he just think about? You know, what did he just hear? He had a wrap around his arm like he came from the doctor. I was like, not your business, you know, maybe whatever, ignore it, right? So I kept ignoring him as he stood there, and I felt this sadness undertone underneath, but he was smiling and happy. So I was like, that's interesting, but I still thought he was happy overall and joyful. Does that make sense? So then that point passed. I was still editing my podcast. He finished his drink, and then he was prancing and bouncing once again, his energy uplifted. He was prancing and bouncing as he went to throw his stuff in the trash, okay? And he came back to the table to get his drink. And as he was about to leave, God was like, speak to him. I was like, okay, I can't help it, because the joy and the bouncing and all that, it like sends beautiful vibrations into the world. Like, it made my heart smile before I even saw him. So I was like, oh my God, I just had to tell him, right? So as he was leaving, I was like, you know what? I was like, excuse me. And I was like, I just want to say that I love your, I think I said happy energy. I love your happy vibration. I said vibration. I love your happy vibration, something, whatever. And then he was like, oh, thank you, right? And then he walks away to throw away his coffee cup. First, he threw away his snack paper from his bakery item. Now he threw away his coffee cup, and he was about to leave, and he touches the door, and then he turns around and he comes to me. He's like, you know what? Excuse me, pardon me. And he was like, but what made you say my happy vibration? What did you feel? What did you feel to make you say that? And then I started smiling, and I was like, actually, because we could go into feelings, because I do kind of feel when people are negative sometimes, when God wants me to know. I do feel, sometimes, but I was like, this time it was so evident because he was bouncing around. So I told him, I was like, actually, I didn't go into the feeling. I said, actually, I was like, you were literally, whether you know it or not, you were literally bouncing around and just like joyful and dancing and all this stuff. You were exuding happiness and joy. And then he was like shocked. He was like, oh, he was like, really? And then he was like, wow. He was like, because I was really feeling bad right now. I was sitting over there thinking how I felt bad, and I didn't feel good. I felt sad and down. And I was like, what? And I was like, no, you're literally exuding joy. I was like, your heart is exuding joy. And he was like, oh my God. And he was like, thank you for saying that. He was like, he was like, really? And then he was like, okay, something. And he talked about he's going to have a great day, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And then I told him, make sure he has a great day and don't let anyone bring him down, right? And then he walked off happily. But I was just like, wow, me and my judgment, or I was trying to judge, and I was like, he might have done something with the cat. I'm not saying that to him. And he literally needed to hear me say that to him. He literally didn't even know that he was happy. Whatever thoughts were in his head, whatever brainwashings, whatever disappointments, whatever shame, whatever way he felt he wasn't where he was supposed to be in life, whatever way he felt he should be doing better in life, he wasn't able to see, even though he literally was. He wasn't able to feel the happiness that his heart had, that his heart was literally exuding. He wasn't able to feel it because of the thoughts in his head. So I want you guys to love yourself. When I say love yourself, when I say dig deep, when I say tap into yourself, really, 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 really chime in sometimes, you guys, okay? And we must not judge, okay? And it's a little tricky to judge, but we must not judge, because everyone here is trying to find their way. And everyone here is doing certain things based on their life experiences and the people in their life and their role in this world, okay? Some of it is harsh, some of it is good. But if we love and if we keep the vibration high, then less so-called evil things will happen. So if this man was feeling a sort of way in his life and went along the day and exuded that lower vibrational feeling that he was having into the world, something bad could have happened. But when he's filled with light and love and knowing that he's vibrant and shining and happy and all these things, and something else I told him that I'm not telling you, then when it comes to a point where maybe he might have had to make a negative choice, he might choose positive, you know? So you never know how you're helping someone. And when I say someone, it might not even be the person that you are literally talking to. It could literally be the person down the line that that person interacts with, where you may save a life or save an experience and make that person have a positive experience instead of a negative one. Does that make sense? If not, I'm not saying that again. Rewind it and listen, but maybe I'll try. Sometimes when we lift somebody's spirits, when we fill someone with joy and love and appreciation and seeing and showing them to be proud and happy with themselves, they walk around with that vibration. So when they come into a situation with someone else, when they interact with someone else down the line, instead of approaching them or interacting with them or attacking them from a low vibrational state that they might be in, their state can be risen and so high and joyful that now that interaction with that person does not become a negative one. It becomes a positive one. And then that positive experience that that person had down the line with the person that they might have been negative to, but now they're positive to, now that person doesn't feel lower in their vibration and like they've been trespassed against. Now they're happy and vibrant too. And now they go along down their life and they interact with someone else. And now instead of them passing off a low vibration of disappointment or hurt or resentment or whatever that they may have been passed on with or given by the person that interacted with them before, now they have a positive high vibration to pass and do a smile or say hi instead of walking around like a grumpy butt. Raise the vibration of true love on earth. Okay? We are not to judge. We can most certainly call judgment because God knows. God can do what. God is the best punisher, technically. Okay? So get our heads out of our butt when we think we have to call somebody out or whatever. And sometimes, nah. We just have to pass the love because it's all about love. And love, true love, is the only thing that can really help save people ultimately. Okay? There are, like I said, spiritual warriors and literal warriors that fight and all these things, but the heart controls not everything because the spirit and all this, but in the general sense, it's our hearts and the way that we feel and what's beaming out of us into our own bodies and out into the world that determines the vibration of love and whether we make this a harsher place or a better place for ourselves and each other. Okay? I love you guys. Know you're doing an amazing job and no one is perfect and no one's going to get this life experience thing perfect and this journeying thing perfect. You're going to make so-called mistakes. You're going to fall down. You're going to get beat up. You're going to be celebrated. You're going to be, all these different things will happen, but you're doing amazing. Just keep going and be the best person that you can be. Okay. Love yourself. Love everyone. Almighty Servant Charon out.
I am the voice of Charon, an almighty servant of God, okay? I love you, love yourself, love everyone. You are power, you are light, you are loved. Make sure you subscribe to the Voice of Charon Healing Podcast, where I speak about any and everything as soon as it comes to my heart. You are power, you are light, you are loved.
This episode is sponsored by Fearless Glory Publishing. Take the first step towards a life of true forgiveness and love with our best-selling book, It All Comes Up to Love, How to Truly Forgive via God's Source, Our Creator. Order your copy today at ebook.almightyservant.com.